On that crisp summer morning, I stood on my deck with a steaming cup of coffee in hand, watching the demolition crew tear into our backyard pool like it was nothing more than a bad memory. My wife, Emily, squeezed my arm, her eyes sparkling with a mix of nerves and triumph. We'd waited for this moment, but nothing prepared us for the storm that was about to hit. The roar of the excavator drowned out everything until Susan Hayes screeched to a halt in her pristine SUV, slamming the door so hard it echoed through the neighborhood. Susan, the iron-fisted president of our homeowners association, stormed across the lawn like a woman possessed. Her face was beet red, veins bulging in her neck as she jabbed a finger at me. "What the hell do you think you're doing? That's community property. You've ruined my kid's entire summer, you monster." She was practically foaming at the mouth, her perfect suburban mom facade cracking under the pressure. I kept my cool, leaning against the railing with a smirk. "Susan, this is my pool on my land. I followed every HOA rule to the letter. Check the covenants if you don't believe me." She wasn't having it. Before I could say another word, sirens wailed in the distance. Turns out she'd called the cops, claiming I was destroying shared assets and endangering the neighborhood. 2 officers pulled up, badges glinting in the sun, and after a quick chat with me and a glance at my permits, they turned to her. "Ma'am, everything's in order here. False emergency calls are a serious offense. Consider this a warning." Susan's eyes narrowed into slits, her voice a venomous hiss. "This isn't over. You've started a war you can't win." As she stormed off, I couldn't help but chuckle, but deep down, I knew she meant it. This was just the beginning, rather, the end of a nightmare that had been brewing for years. It all started when Emily and I finally scraped together enough to buy our dream home after a decade of pinching pennies. We envisioned lazy afternoons by a backyard pool, splashing with the kids we'd always wanted. I dug it out myself, calluses and all, installing the liner and filters with sweat equity that made it feel like an extension of our souls. For the first year, it was paradise barbecues with neighbors, fireflies dancing over the water at dusk. Then Susan got elected HOA president, and harmony shattered like cheap glass. At first, it was subtle. I'd catch her kids sneaking over the fence, cannonballing into our pool without a care. When I politely asked them to stop, Susan waved me off with a saccharine smile. "Oh, come on, Mike. It's just kids being kids. Sharing builds community spirit." But it escalated fast. Fines started pouring in. One for an unsecured aquatic area, because we didn't have a 24/7 lifeguard. Another for locking the gate, obstructing neighborly access. The kicker was the violation for failure to promote aquatic fellowship, whatever that meant. It felt like she was twisting the rules just to target us. Things hit a boiling point when I came home to find our yard overrun with a neighborhood splash bash Susan had organized without asking. Strangers in floats, blaring music, trash everywhere. I confronted her in front of everyone, voice steady but firm. "This is private property. Get out." She laughed it off, but her eyes were daggers. "Lighten up, Mike. The HOA encourages events like this." The crowd murmured, some siding with her, others whispering about her overreach. From there, it was nonstop harassment. Fines for our security cameras violating privacy norms, for grass a quarter-inch too tall, even for a quirky garden gnome she deemed unsightly. The real turning point came when one of her brats slipped and scraped a knee in the pool. Nothing serious, but Susan threatened lawsuits, screaming about negligence. That night, Emily and I decided enough was enough. We weren't just fighting for our peace, we were fighting for our home. We pored over the HOA covenants late into the nights, highlighter in hand, discovering a golden loophole. Any property change request not responded to within 30 days was deemed approved. So we submitted a sly application to remove an outdated water feature and install a serene meditation space. No bells, no whistles, just vague enough to fly under the radar. While we waited, we played perfect citizens, paying every petty fine on time, mowing the lawn like clockwork. Our neighbor Jerry, a retired vet with a wicked sense of humor, became our unlikely ally. He'd spy on Susan's comings and goings, texting us updates with emojis that had us cracking up. "Queen Bee just fined the Johnsons for excessive bird chirping. Your move, boss." Finally, the 30 days lapse, said no response. Operation Zen Garden was a go. The demolition crew arrived at dawn, jackhammers and excavators turning our oasis into rubble. Emily and I watched from the deck, hearts pounding, but as the bucket dug deep, it hit something solid with a clang that echoed like fate intervening. The crew paused, uncovering a rusted metal box buried under the pool's foundation. My mind raced to report it, or not. In a split-second decision that could have blown everything up, I waved them off. Just some old junk, I'll handle it. We hauled it to the garage under cover of dusk, prying it open with crowbars and flashlights. What we found inside wasn't junk, it was dynamite. Stacks of yellowed HOA documents from decades ago, detailing bid rigging schemes, kickbacks from contractors, and outright fraud. Susan's husband, David, the former treasurer, had signed off on most of it, with Susan listed as a witness on shady deals. But the bombshell was deeper. Our lot had been illegally rezoned from community common area to private sale, pocketing the profits for a select few. Susan's obsession with our pool wasn't just control freakery, it was fear. Digging it up could expose the fraud, unravel her little empire, and maybe even void our title. The realization hit like a gut punch. She'd been gaslighting us to protect her crimes, turning the whole neighborhood into pawns in her corrupt game. Revenge shifted to survival. We couldn't go public with the land issue, yet that might boomerang and cost us our home. Instead, we focused on the financial crimes, recruiting allies quietly. Jerry was first, his eyes widening at the evidence. Holy hell, Mike, this is Watergate in suburbia. We showed tailored snippets to other neighbors she'd bullied. The widow fined for inappropriate mailbox decor. The young couple hit with fees for non-conforming pet sounds. Whispers spread like wildfire, signatures piling up for an emergency HOA meeting petition. Susan remained blissfully ignorant, still strutting around like royalty. The clubhouse was packed that night, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Neighbors crammed into folding chairs, murmurs rising as I took the podium, projector beaming scans of the documents. Ladies and gentlemen, our HOA has been rotten at the core. Bid rigging, kickbacks, millions siphoned off. Gasps echoed. Fingers pointed at Susan, who shot up, face twisted in denial. This is fabricated. He's a liar trying to dodge fines. But I had backups. Jerry's body cam footage of her trespasses, notarized copies of the fraud papers. The room erupted in outraged shouts of thief and resign. Then, for the kill shot, I hinted at the land scam without full details. And that's not all, some properties might not even be legally ours because of this. Susan went pale, collapsing back into her seat, silent as a ghost. The vote was unanimous. She was ousted, fleeing the room in tears as booze rained down. In the aftermath, the district attorney swooped in, indicting Susan and David on fraud charges. They pleaded guilty, coughing up restitution that reformed the HOA's coffers, then slunk away to some distant town in disgrace. My title was cleared. I was deemed a victim, not a culprit. The neighborhood transformed, barbecues without fear, a reformed board that actually listened. Our Zen garden bloomed where the pool once stood, rocks and bonsai trees a symbol of hard-won peace. But looking back, I wonder if we crossed lines to hiding that box, playing vigilante. Was it justice or just another power play? In the end, fighting back saved our home, but it taught me that in suburbia, the real monsters aren't always the ones you see coming. They're the ones enforcing the rules.